The Pittsburgh Steelers now have full control of the AFC North after a big win over the Baltimore Ravens. They now get to play another AFC North rival here on Thursday Night Football in Week 12. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we're going to break down the Week 12 matchup between the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cleveland Browns. But before we get into that, Ryan and I, we want to have a huge shout out to all of our new subscribers over the past season, so to say. Because of you all, it is possible that we actually get to have a shot to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the season. So let's see if we can get there by the end of Week 18. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave a like and a comment. Let us know who you think will win this game and why. And Ryan, Pittsburgh Steelers now, and Mike Tomlin, I will say, start off, he is one win away from continuing his streak of not having a losing season throughout his entire head coaching career. And probably spoiler alert here, but I think he gets it done this week. I think he's able to capitalize on it. And so this Pittsburgh Steelers team coming in, there definitely were some questions, I think, offensively on how well Russell Wilson and Justin Fields could do. And they've absolutely passed the test. Hasn't been anything earth-shattering, hasn't been anything world-beating, but they've been playing well enough offensively to put themselves in position. And this defense is actually almost maybe an insult to the defense that I brought up the offense first. But this defense is top-notch. Defense is one of the best in the league. Great performance today, shutting down Lamar Jackson. It was a typical AFC North matchup here between the Ravens and Steelers. They're going to go up against the Browns team, and this Browns team has had a long season. It's going to continue to be a long season as well.
Yeah, I saw a meme today, and sorry, just talk about that Steelers-Ravens game really quick. Frankly, because that's more interesting to me than this game. But they were showing, and it was like a picture of Joe Burrow, and he was kind of like giving like the WTF face, like, and it was the caption was when you had to throw 9 touchdowns against the Ravens just to lose both games when the Steelers don't have to score a single one to win. Yeah. And it was just like that defense just totally dominated that Ravens game, forcing I believe 2 or 3 fumbles. And so it was a really good game, really like hard fought AFC North style football game. And I'm excited for when those two teams meet again. But right now we're talking about the Steelers and the Browns. The Browns are just so banged up. They have some interesting offensive weapons like Cedric Tillman, Jerry Jeudy. I believe Elijah Moore is playing for them currently.
Yeah, he's still there.
And so like they have like some interesting weapons there. David Njoku is another good one. But with Deshaun Watson going out, this offensive line being as banged up as it has been, it's hard to find continuity in that offense. In like starting with the run game, this offense has become pretty one-dimensional. And they were able to hang with the Saints a little bit. And then at the end of the game, they lost by 2 scores. Just game got out of hand. The Browns were too one-dimensional, and they just couldn't keep up. And so I think you look like coming off a tough loss to the Saints and going up against a team like Pittsburgh, who's going to be well coached. They have the manpower. I always say Thursday Night Football comes down to just who has the better roster. Just because you have a lot less time to game plan, you have a lot less time to prepare specifically for the team that you're going up against, and more so just to practice what you're good at. And so I think the Steelers are going to come in. They're going to be a well-coached team, and they're going to be ready to go here on Thursday night. And I think they'll be more dominant in this win than they're going to be very dominant over the Browns in this one.
Well, it's interesting, too, because with the Browns offensively today, now they were going up against the Saints defense that's also pretty banged up as well. But still, Jameis Winston threw for nearly 400 yards. Now, 89 of that did come on Jerry Jeudy's long touchdown catch. But still, though, so you even take that away, still 300-plus yard passing game as well, something we haven't seen from Deshaun Watson. So some of those athletic pieces are there, and I think it's – now the Saints defense is totally different than the Steelers, but we all know Jameis Winston can sling it, and he's the gunslinger. He's going to make some mistakes, and that's where it's going to be interesting to see how is he able to be more opportunistic and be less prone to mistakes on this Thursday Night Football matchup here. Because to your point, it is typically Thursday Night Football matchups, less time to prepare. There is less game film on Jameis Winston. There is some, but less than what it would be on a typical normal starting quarterback on a Thursday Night Football. So can they be explosive? I will say, too, that the thing that concerns me, though, and what goes to your point about the offensive line being all banged up, is they still only rushed for 66 yards today, as Nick Chubb had 50, Jerome Ford had 10. And
Yeah.
the vast majority of this game was pretty close. The Saints put up 21 in the final quarter, but it was pretty close up until then. Actually, it was tied up until then. So you would think that there would be more rushing yards, especially too considering this Browns team typically has an offensive line that's pretty good, but as you said, they're pretty banged up. So kind of looking into this game here, I think it's just going to be a battle of the trenches. And the Browns offensively, as we've talked about, injured, but defensively, they've been selling off some pieces. Darius Smith is now gone as well. So you still have Myles Garrett. So that's going to be a fun matchup, kind of see what he can do. But also maybe part of the game plan is like, hey, if we're going to run the ball, what side is Myles Garrett on? Okay, we're going to run to the opposite side. Just not really worry about it at all. And then on the flip side too, how are the Cleveland Browns going to play against T.J. Watt and company? There are a couple guys that got banged up for the Steelers in this past game, one of which Joey Porter Jr. He's got a shin contusion, which sounds for like the most like with no broken bones or no like ACL. Sounds like the worst injury to have is a shin bruise if it was that bad.
So I remember playing AAU basketball. I had an elbow contusion. So like I would hit my elbow and then my elbow would swell up.
Yeah.
And like that in itself was painful. Your shin is so much more sensitive than your elbow.
Oh, like, yeah. Well, just walking and just moving, and being like perfectly fine. Like you can absolutely play through a contusion, through a bruise, but that sounds extremely painful. But so we'll have to track his status overall throughout the week. That will be a loss overall, especially too with this Browns team with Jameis Winston back there and who can't throw the ball and potentially the passing game could be a lot more effective. But in general, though, the Steelers team just seems so solid. They're just not making too many mistakes, and that was one of the things with Russell Wilson coming in. Obviously, we saw that Russell Wilson at Denver, but then in the first season, the second season, one thing Russell Wilson did have is he wasn't making too many mistakes, wasn't lighting up the stat sheet, but he also was kind of taking care of the ball decently well. And that's what I think we've been able to see here, except for the one play when you're at 15-10 and you're in the red zone with about 8 minutes left in the game. What a horrible decision to throw the ball there. So that was an interception. But in general, though, I think Wilson's been playing decently well. You know, it's like nothing too crazy, but also he's just being the facilitator, just being the point guard for this team because he knows how good this defense is, that they'll be able to keep him in games. And so kind of going into predictions here, I already kind of probably spoiled my pick earlier, but also probably a lot of people's picks as well. But I'm going with Pittsburgh here. I think Mike Tomlin is just a better coach than Kevin Stefanski. I think they've got a better defensive plan. I think they're going to win in the trenches. I think the weapons, I think overall are going to be pretty mutual, but I think just, as I said, the trenches, I think are going to be significantly favored towards Pittsburgh. So that's why I'm going to go with the Steelers.
Yeah, I kind of already said it in the video earlier in the video that I'm just going with Pittsburgh. I think they're the much better team here. And like, I think just man for man, they're healthier. They have the better roster right now. And I think they're just going to be a lot better. And so like, I do want to go ahead and kind of touch base on the, like in the last part of this video, just talk about like looking forward. And to me, like talking specifically about the Browns, I think they're in the quarterback market. I feel like Deshaun Watson's time in Cleveland is done. I think you have Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, whichever one you like. I think you can draft and go forward with there. I do like the fact they already have Jameis Winston under contract. And so like, to me, I think he would be an excellent bridge quarterback for one of those guys to come in under, just because I think both of those guys you look at, Shedeur maybe a little bit less than Cam Ward, but both of those guys I believe are going to need to sit and get used to NFL play, because Cam Ward, this is the first season, this is only the second season Cam Ward has ever had a true quarterbacks coach on his roster. So like the physical traits and like the actual talent is there with Cam Ward. He still needs so much coaching on situational football and kind of running an NFL offense. And Shedeur is much more, to me, more polished. The ceiling isn't quite there, but I do feel like with him, he still does make some of those like boneheaded mistakes where he just chucks the ball up because he can, type of thing. Like Travis Hunter's down there somewhere. And in the NFL, you're not going to find success that way. He's going to have to be better at taking the 5 to 10 yard profits at that level. And to me, I think the Browns are kind of leaning towards a full rebuild here with a new coaching staff. I think starting it off, kind of doing what the Patriots did last year and just go and get your young quarterback try to fill out the roster the best you can around them, and then build going from there with the new coaching staff. I feel like it's kind of where the Browns are. That's their trajectory after this year.
Yeah, and because I've been thinking about that a lot as well, and I'm still kind of in the middle of my research, especially when it comes to the quarterbacks. Because one of the things I've really started to think about is that there really is maybe only 2 first-round quarterbacks here, but there's a lot of day 2 quarterbacks. And what I think about when I say that is like Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. I think to me are the 2 that are for sure going to be first-round picks. And what's interesting, depending on where the Browns fall, like the Browns end up 5th or 6th in that.
Right now they're 3rd.
No, so right now they're 3rd, but let's say they win a game or something like that. But then, the Giants that keep falling up there. The Raiders keep falling up there. The Jets keep falling up there. There's a lot of teams looking for a quarterback. If you're the Browns team, you need a lot of help.
Yeah.
I also would be very curious to see what teams do, because it's not like last year where there is a massive drop-off from that top group of guys to then Spencer Rattler, where you could have Spencer Rattler fall. It's Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, as you mentioned, have their own problems. Same thing with Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, Jalen Milroe.
Yeah.
And then there's one other guy I feel like I'm missing as well.
Drew Aller, Garrett Nussmeier. But again, those guys are potential to go back to school candidates.
Potentially so. But so from the next wave of guys as well. So at least Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, and then Jalen Milroe. I could also see them potentially taking them in the early second round, or maybe wait until round 3. We'll have to see where they shape up, obviously, of course. But like if you're picking there, though, and you'd be like, you can go get a stud offensive lineman, you can go get Ted McMillan. If somehow, for some way, Travis Hunter falls to you, or Nick Chubb is getting older, like, you can go and take Ashton Genty as well, because this offensive line is going to keep getting healthy, and then you have your stud running back next. It's like, and then you can go and get that quarterback who, as you mentioned, maybe keep Jameis Winston for a year. There's going to be the rebuilding process. Also, too, probably going to assume maybe there's going to be a new head coach as well that's going to be going on. I know Stefanski might have just gotten the contract, but still have that has not stopped these owners from finding a new head coach. They'll just keep paying these guys, if things aren't working out. So it's going to be very interesting, because it's not like last year's quarterback class, where even to now, Bo Nix as well as seemed like maybe he's one of the better quarterbacks in that class just through this rookie year. And he was the 6th quarterback taken off the board. There's a lot closer gap, I feel, from the top quarterbacks going to be taken off the board to then the 5th or 6th quarterback taken off the board. So that's just going to be very interesting with this quarterback class.
Yeah, and so I am really curious to see where the Browns go forward from here, because especially too, you look at their cap space. Deshaun Watson has like a $72.5 million cap hit over the next 2 seasons. So all in all, I think it's going to be really intriguing to follow what the Browns do. The Steelers' future's bright. I think maybe Russell Wilson comes back on a multi-year extension if he continues to play this way throughout the season. And like at this rate, they could end up at, realistically, like I think 11-6 is their floor at this point. Yeah, because I believe they have a fairly easy schedule remaining.
So they got now they got 2 games against Cleveland left, week 12, week 14. 2 games against Cincy, week 18. But then they got a stretch of at Philly, at Baltimore, host Kansas City. And the Baltimore-Kansas City is going to be the unique ones, because that's the one. It's like it's on a Saturday, and then the next one's on Christmas on a Wednesday. So it's a very unique schedule on how that might balance out. So
true. But I will say I like their defense in both of those matchups, and I like them in both of the Browns and both of the Bengals games. Like I do think that those are favorable matchups for them.
I get that, especially too if this Bengals defense plays like how they're playing right now, because we're recording this during Sunday Night Football. And I think Russell Wilson could also throw for 400 yards, like how Justin Herbert's doing right now.
Yeah.
This Bengals defense is doing.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. So let's go ahead. Let's wrap this one up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Go ahead and leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Will it be the Pittsburgh Steelers? Will it be the Cleveland Browns? Other than that, we'll see you guys next time.